Hi, guys. Welcome to the Art of Healing podcast. I'm your host, Pearls.
And I'm Paris.
And today we're going to be talking to you about feelings and expressing them.
Ooh, feeling. Don't run away. Like we usually used to. But before we get into it, you know how it goes. If you've been here before, you know what we're about to do. If you haven't, that's cool. So if you can, close down your eyes, of course. If you're driving, anything like that, don't do that. You can still do the breathing. But we're just going to take 3 breaths in, 3 breaths out, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Just to calm down, basically, and check in with ourselves. So on me, let's inhale. And exhale through the mouth, letting go. And again, inhale. Let go of what doesn't serve you. And on this last inhale, breathe in as deep as you can. And exhale with a sigh. And just feel that presence in your body. Feel if anything has shifted for you, if anything's moved. Of course, open your eyes if they're closed now. Just a simple little tip. Breathe more. Breathe often. Breathe regularly. We don't do it enough. But yeah, so let's get into today's podcast. We're talking about feelings and emotions, which is kind of the crux of healing, really, if you want to go deep into it. Because what is it we always say?
You got to feel it to heal
You
it.
got to feel it to heal it. But what does that actually mean?
Ooh, now that's a question. I think a lot of people think healing is just doing tasks and things like journaling, affirmations, meditations, talking about what happened. But actually, the thing that you need more than anything is actually to feel the feeling that you've suppressed and let it pass.
The
Because
sirens agree. Sorry if you can hear that. Well, as you are.
So yeah, that's what we mean when we say feel it to heal it. You've got to just embrace the emotion, embrace the feeling, and finally let it free.
Mm-hmm. And sounds simple when you put it like that. But I think something that we've discovered that it's not always entirely so simple.
No.
Not because of the feeling part is only hard because of the emotional charge attached to those feelings, or I guess because it brings up a lot of memories, a lot of the experience. You know, when we talk about trauma, we often misconstrue it as, oh, trauma is me being in a car crash, or like my parent dying, or X, Y, and
Parents
Z.
getting divorced.
Yeah,
Or...
the event, whereas trauma isn't the event at all. What we actually mean, or what trauma is defined at, is the psychological and physiological response to that trauma. The physiological being how you felt at the time. But the thing is, most of us don't feel at the time because the experience is so overwhelming. We get shoved into the sympathetic, the body shuts down, and it's in that shutdown, the body really is just protecting us from that overwhelm because it thinks, yo, this is so strong. Like something will happen to you if you feel this all at once. So it puts on the guard to save you. The problem is, in what we're meant to do after that is slowly release it, but we don't, right? We stop ourselves from feeling it because if I think about that event, it triggers the emotion again. If I think about the feeling, it triggers even more of the emotion again, and we attach the feeling to having to re-experience the event, and that blocks us then from getting to where we want to go to because it's too painful.
Yeah.
But the reality is, no emotion has ever killed anyone. No emotion has ever hurt anyone. No emotion will ever cause you pain. The thing that's causing you pain is what? Holding on to it. Do you know what I mean? That's what the painful part is. The emotion isn't what's causing the problem. It's you. No, I can't. But I guess, like, in a way, we've become disconnected from our emotions, right?
Yeah. I think there's loads of things or loads of reasons why people don't feel their emotions or are struggling to feel their emotions. So you might have something like, if you think about on a normal day to day, everyone's busy. There's no time to feel emotions because you've got to get to work, you've got to do your job, you've got to come home and then do all your chores, you've got to look after the kids if you've got kids, or you've got something else to do. So your busy life is keeping you from feeling your emotions, right?
Too busy to feel.
Too busy to feel. Then you've got trauma, like you mentioned. Then you've got, actually, I'm just disconnected from my body completely. And then you've got, I've suppressed these emotions so far down me, I don't actually know how to get them out to feel them again. So I think there's lots of reasons why people aren't able to feel their feelings. And I think also in some circumstances, people probably don't know what the emotion that they're feeling is as well.
And that's the main thing. It's like for a lot of people, we're not taught what emotions are, or what that sensation is in your body, what that feeling is, right? Like, I think I've struggled with anger quite a lot in my life, to the point where I didn't even know I was feeling angry, because to me as a child, anger meant danger. So why would I want to express this emotion when I've witnessed other people doing it and it hasn't ended too well, you know? So
Yeah.
I was taught at a young age, don't feel this emotion, because if you feel it, then this is what will happen, which obviously is ridiculous. That's not the case, but that's how your nervous system interprets emotion.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I didn't have an adult to say like, hey, like, yes, mom and dad are being very angry and it's scary, but like, you know, doesn't mean the emotion, you should not feel it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think what happens a lot of the time when people with anger, for example, they don't, they suppress it, for example, but by not expressing it or like saying, hey, I'm angry, or like even allowing themselves to feel their emotion, what happens? They suppress it, and then it comes out in other ways, like rage cleaning. It can come out in being irritable, mood swings, different ways. And then also as well, if you suppress it even more, then it shows up in other ways in your body. You might have some tension, you might have aches, you might have a stomach ache, you might have some chest pain, you might have something else, but it will show up physically in your body because you've suppressed it so far down for so long. So again, like you said, if the more you hold on to it, the more pain it's going to cause you. So really, feel it to heal it. You've got to feel the emotion and release it. Let it be free.
Let it be free.
Let it be free.
It's hard. It honestly is. And it's like the emotions that go unexpressed will just manifest in the body as symptoms, as disease. They come up as what? Anxiety, depression in the mind. They come up as every single symptom that you can imagine in the body. Everything from skin conditions, eczema, bloating, constipation, IBS, all the way to joint pain, muscle tension. These are all conditions where, if you trail it back, are linked to the emotional suppression in your body, because your body's just saying, hey, yo, listen to me, in a way. But it goes back to the whole being disconnected. We're too busy to feel our emotions. We're too traumatized to feel our emotions. We haven't been taught or even know how to feel them. Yeah,
I feel like a lot of people, they haven't been given, potentially in their childhood, I think where it starts for a lot of people, a safe space to actually feel their emotions, or be taught, actually, this is this emotion and this is how you manage it. You know, often we see kids throwing tantrums and being told, hey, that's bad behavior. But actually, you can see why they're doing it. They're trying to regulate themselves. But okay, the best thing to do in that situation is, you know, try to help them to understand what emotion they're feeling and how to release it in a way that, let's say, you know, is something that they can carry on doing throughout their life. Because, you know,
it's a bit more controlled.
Yeah, it's fine to throw a tantrum when you're 2-3 years old. It's understandable. But like doing it as an adult, it might not work out for you every day.
And this is what maturity is, I think. Maturity isn't necessarily growing up and being an adult. It's learning how to act and behave in a better way that doesn't have as many consequences and is, I guess, more considerate of the environment that you're in and able to adapt. Hey, I'm feeling these emotions to where you are. And that's, you know, because imagine if we didn't learn how to process our emotions other than having tantrums. You didn't tell your kids, hey, don't do the tantrum. You said, actually, yeah, do the tantrum. Great. So you've just got these adults that are regulating their emotions when they feel them, but by throwing tantrums. Quite dangerous if you're an adult.
And we see this sometimes.
And this is the thing. You nail on the head. We see this a lot. When people you see like a grown adult acting out, you say, oh, they're acting out, don't throw a tantrum, or like mood swing. It's like, because they haven't been taught how to process their emotions. So they're actually reverting back to their childlike way of doing it, which is to just throw a fit.
Which is the only way they know how.
Yeah. So in a way, like, you can't blame them. They clearly haven't got the tools. But I guess the point we're making is that, yeah, cool, that's fine, like you said, when you're a child, but it's about learning to channel that same need that your body has into something else, like somatic shaking, for example, which we, you know, obviously we do a lot and we talk about a lot, is one of the best ways you can start doing that, rather than all right, I feel all these overwhelm of emotions. You don't even need to know what they are. Just start moving your body in a way that's a bit more controlled, a bit less explosive, but you still have the same result compared to like,
and I think in relation to the somatic shaking, this is why we get a lot of people when they're shaking crying. We have, like, it happens all the time. People will be shaking and they'll feel like an emotion. Often, a lot of the time, it is they feel sad or they feel like they're crying whilst they're shaking. It happens to them. And this is because, you know, for so long, for a lot of people, they don't feel safe in their bodies. They don't feel safe in their environment. So what happens is they carry on going about their days normally. When you start doing the shaking, you start entering a state of safety. And then what happens is the emotions that you've been suppressing feel safe enough to come to the surface. And it's like, hey, I am feeling this emotion, actually. I do feel really sad about that. Or I'm feeling a bit emotional, angry about something else. Because it could be other emotions come up too. But crying is one of the main ones we get that people like release whilst they're shaking. And I think also as well, like, just on the topic of crying, I think this is also something that a lot of people when they're younger, especially boys, are taught not to cry because crying is bad. So for a lot of boys,
it's weakness,
it's
isn't it?
it's seen as a weakness. So like that's an emotion that they really struggle to express when they're a lot older. So I think that again ties into like there's like a whole gender thing that comes into like, hey, why are you not feeling your feelings? So I think that's also has a little bit to do with it. And I think as well, like, you know, for me, for example, I was told crying is bad, don't cry.
Well,
Similar,
there you go. Even
even for me, crying is bad, don't do it. Good kids don't cry, etc. So like when you grow up and it's like, oh, I feel really upset about something. Oh, I shouldn't cry. So how would I cry? I would go to the toilet and I would close the door when no one could see me and I'd cry. And no matter where I was, if I was upset, that was the only way that I could do it. I couldn't do it in front of people.
But why did you go to the toilet?
To hide, because it's shameful to cry.
Yeah.
You feel ashamed of expressing the emotion. So
which makes the problem even worse, because now you've got something that actually is beneficial. Crying is a good thing. #, cry more.
Because you release cortisol from your tears when you cry. So get crying, guys.
but now, whenever you've got this overwhelming emotion to cry, there's I'm ashamed to feel this way for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if I am going to do it, I need to hide away like it's a secret, which is just going to cause more problem. You're getting the cry, but you're probably still not feeling that great.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, oh my God, I cried. I can't believe it. Oh my God, I hope no one heard me.
Yeah, you feel embarrassed, you feel shy. I think something that I would say a lot when I was a kid, if anyone's ever watched Tracy Beaker, whenever I would cry, if someone saw me or something, I'd be like, oh, it's just hay fever. I'm not crying. Because on Tracy Beaker, that's what she would say whenever she was upset or she was crying, because she was super tough, super strong. That's how she presented herself. But whenever something that would happen that would upset her, if she was crying, she'd say like, I'm not crying, I've just got hay fever. So that was something that I took on. I was like, actually, yeah, I've got hay fever. I'm not crying.
Yeah.
But like, you know, that's I think that's what it looks like when you're not given the space as a child to like feel emotions. That's how it shows up in your adult life. You make excuses for it, you hide and do it in private. But also what happens is that stifles you from expressing yourself in other ways. You're suppressing not just how you feel, but who you are as a person. And through feeling your emotions, you will learn more about yourself. And if you're not feeling your emotions, then there's like a large part of yourself that you're not really showing, but also getting to know.
Yeah, it's true. And we label, there's two sides to emotions. There's the good emotions and there's the bad emotions, right? But the reality is emotions are just emotions.
Yeah.
The body isn't categorizing what it's feeling as, oh, this is a bad thing or this is a good thing. It's just what it feels. We do that. And then it's like, oh, good feelings, joy, happiness, peace, love. I want those. Bad things, guilt, shame, resentment, anger, sadness.
But do you know what the crazy thing is? Is that after you cry, you don't ever feel shit. So no one ever mentions how great it feels, like the post-high cry.
Yeah.
The post-cry high even.
The post-cry
high. No one talks about the post-cry high. You feel great after you cry. And the same with anger. Like after you've, you know, expressed it in a healthy way, the calm you feel after releasing it and like the peace in your body you feel. I'm not saying like you should express it in, you know, an unsafe way, but like just feeling the emotion and like letting it go. The calm that you feel after having done that, that's a different level of peace. And I feel like these are things that people don't talk about. We just associate as like emotions as like desirable ones and not desirable ones, but really you should aim to embrace all of them.
Feel them all.
Because there's benefits in feeling all of them at all times.
At the end of the day, like however you whatever your beliefs are, whatever you think you're here for, we're humans. That means we have the human experience. The human experience is the full spectrum of emotions. If you're blocking yourself off to half of that experience, you're blocking yourself off to half of living, half of who you are. And the thing about emotions, bringing it back to like we said about the crying thing, no one's ever felt bad after they've had a good cry. And the reason being is because on the other end of all of the emotions that you're not allowing yourself to feel are actually all the emotions that you want to feel. So if you're upset or you're struggling or you're finding it hard, I don't feel happy in my life, I don't feel joy, I don't feel at peace, I'm always on edge. The reason that you don't feel the emotions that you want is because you're holding on to the ones that you don't want. You don't probably realize it, but that literally, crying is one of the best examples of, I cried and now I feel better. It's like that for every other emotion that you're stopping yourself from feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like anger, for example, the other day, I think for the first time in my life, you know, obviously I had this absolute nightmare. Just for context, we went all the way down to Manchester. As we literally just got into the cafe to do some work, my mum messaged me. I was like, oh, did you bring your ID? Because I had this appointment and I needed to bring my ID for it. And I forgot it. So I was instantly full of rage. I went really quiet. Pels knows this really well, but anyone that knows me, I don't express my anger very well. I just go very quiet and very serious, which is very unlike me.
It is. You can see it on his face like, He's not normal Paris right now.
But yeah, so I was furious. I wanted to like I was blaming everyone but me. I was really just like it was mum's fault for not messaging me sooner. It was her fault, pointing to my girlfriend. It was everyone but my own fault. And then someone was like, "Oh, you're right," and I was just like, I'm fucking furious. So I now knowing what I know, instead of like just allowing myself to just carry on and ignoring it, I just closed my eyes. I was like, cool, I'm just going to sit with this for a bit. And I allowed myself to feel really angry. And I did. I was furious. And all these thoughts were still going around in my head. You're an idiot. I've ruined the day. You know what? Forget it anyway. I don't even want to go. And then it just kind of hit me like, I need to take responsibility for my actions. I forgot my ID because I forgot it. I should have been more organized. But it's not the end of the world. Once I'd let that pass, I felt all the rage and it went. I come back, I was calm. I was like, cool, I'm over it now. I know what I need to do. I'm just going to go on the train and get back. And it didn't ruin my day. Whereas in the past, if I felt angry over something like that, which isn't actually the end of the world anyway, it would have ruined my whole day. I would have got on if I hadn't have done that, I would have got on the train, been fuming all the way there, been fuming all the way back. Whilst on that journey, I probably would have found other things that would have made me more angry because that's just what happens. Every emotion that you feel, by the way, whenever you are triggered, is not the thing that makes you feel that way. It's because you already feel that way on the inside. So if something makes you angry, it's because you already are angry. So yes, the lesson is feel your emotions, even if it is hard.
And I think the thing here is as well, I think a lot of people confuse feeling the emotion with becoming the emotion.
Yeah.
So feeling the emotion is how Paris described it. Taking a second, sitting with yourself, feeling the sensation, seeing where it is in your body, processing it, breathing through it, and then letting it be free. We're like, see you later. Thanks for coming. It was great. And thank you for your visit. But becoming the emotion was if Paris got really angry, if he started slamming things, if he started expressing it verbally, like to me, his mom, whoever else he felt was at blame,
which is you see a lot, which happens
exactly. So and that's becoming the emotion. You don't want to become the emotion because you're not the emotion.
Yeah.
So that's like a thing to remember when you're feeling emotions, or when you're like, hey, how do I feel this emotion? Being angry doesn't mean like you're angry at everyone else, or you're expressing it by like slamming things or throwing things around or swearing or these type of things. It's actually just feeling it in your body, feeling the sensations, feeling where it is, breathing through it, and again, like I said, letting it pass.
Because the expression of punching, hitting, shouting, effing, and blinding, that's reactive. That's the emotion making you act out in a certain way. It's not very clearly not very controlled. Most of us are taught that's how to express anger. That's what I was taught. So that's why I've repressed it so much, because I don't want to act out in that way, not knowing that actually you can just feel anger and not be angry. That's the thing. Being angry is reactive. Feeling anger is the emotion.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just about learning to feel it. And it goes for all the emotions, It's like it's okay to be sad.
Yeah.
Like it's some sadness, if you ever watched Inside Out, sadness is actually a great thing. It allows you to release. Like what tends to happen when you feel sadness, you cry. And then what happens? You feel joy. So like sadness is actually a powerful emotion. It shows you like, the emotion, it gives you the emotional trigger that you need to release. And it goes for all of the emotions. As adults, it's it's not necessarily our fault that we haven't been taught how to feel. We've grown up in a society that is all about productivity, all about hustle, all about keep yourself busy, ignore, repress, suppress, and avoid the emotions because I'm too busy to do it. Why would I want to do it? That's weakness. It's not convenient for me to feel this right now. I need to go to work. I need to cook dinner. I need to do X, Y, and Z. But it's like, all right, that might be half true, but the reality is that feeling the emotions isn't something that's going to take you all day to do. It can take you a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
It's just a practice. And when you start building that relationship with yourself, it becomes easier and easier and easier to the point where these emotions are diminished. So when they do come up, like I did the other day, how long did it take me to feel good? Maybe like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Boom, done. You're telling me we don't have 5 minutes in the day to stop and feel? If you're telling me yes, then that's where the problem is. That's what I'm saying. That's why we always say, what do we say? Slow down.
Slow down. Take a chill pill. It's going to be okay.
Take a chill pill.
Take a chill pill. It's going to be cool. It's going to be so cool.
But it's true. We say that we're too busy, but we're not really. We're just.
I think too busy is just an excuse. It's like when someone's got an issue with their health and you say to them, hey, actually, if you just did this, Or maybe if you just read this to educate yourself on this topic,
Yeah.
that things will work out better for you. They're like, oh, I'm too busy to do that. And you're too busy to, okay, that's cool. So, you know, that's just an excuse you say to yourself because you're not ready to let go of where you're currently at. I think the other thing is as well that a lot of people potentially confuse their emotions. So, for example, something's happened. Paris and I are meant to be, I'll give you an example. Paris and I are meant to be going to the cinema and well, Paris can't make it.
True story.
It's not a true story. And Paris can't make it for some reason. So I think I'm angry. So I walk around thinking I'm really angry at Paris. But actually, the feeling that I feel underneath is I'm actually disappointed because I really wanted to go to the cinema. I'm not angry about it. I'm just disappointed that we didn't get to go. And I think a lot of the time people think that the emotion that they're feeling is actually something else. So that's probably another thing. If you're not sure how you're feeling or what the feeling that you're feeling, because obviously we talk about like the basic emotions all the time, like anger, sadness, joy. Trying to think what else with anxiety. I'm trying to think what else do we mention. But yeah, just like the standard ones that we mentioned, they're like the most common ones. But there's actually way more emotions than the ones we've mentioned. And I think that's the other thing as well. Maybe just get acquainted with what other feelings there are, what other emotions there are, to just pinpoint what you're actually feeling better. Because sometimes you think you're angry, but actually maybe you're just sad or you're grieving or you're disappointed or you feel let down or something along those lines. And on the other side, it might be something else that actually, I don't feel that at all. I feel something completely different. So there is a thing that you can Google on the internet. I think potentially it's in our free toolbox as well. It's basically a feelings wheel. And it basically it's a wheel of all the feelings.
All the feels.
All the feelings.
We'll
which can help you which can help you identify what emotion it is you're currently feeling. So if you're someone who struggles with, oh, what emotion am I feeling right now? What feeling it is? Have a look at it, see which one it is, and that will also help you develop a better relationship with feeling how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And realizing what the emotion it is that you're currently carrying or currently connecting with.
Honestly, it's healing isn't complicated. We make it complicated. We're telling you to do or suggesting that you do is just feel, you know, and it may be hard because you don't know what those feelings are. But if you just start learning what they are, then you'll realize what the body is trying to communicate to you. And I think, you know, we always use this example as well because it's so what's the word I'm looking for? It's so on point. It's like, do you know when you're thirsty? You know what that feels like? Yeah. Where do you feel first?
In your throat.
Right. And what do you know when you're hungry?
Yeah.
Where do you feel hunger?
In my belly.
All right. So your body tells you when you're hungry and thirsty. Do you think that maybe your body will tell you what other things it needs? It does, but how comes you know those two but not the others? Because they're familiar, because we recognize it, because we've been taught to. It's key to our survival, right? If you don't eat or drink, you're not going to make it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, because I was reading the gut-mind connection recently, and one of the things that it was saying in there, which links to this a little bit, is that actually your stomach makes way much more sound and has way more sensations than you probably realize or are even paying attention to, because as you're going about your day, because you're really busy, you're not paying attention to it.
Right.
So the same with emotions. If you're going about your day being busy and you're not paying attention, then you're not going to know. But if you want to see how this works, next time you've got some spare time, sit and just listen to your stomach for like 5 minutes, and you will realize that it's actually really noisy. And then you'll realize, like, oh, actually, how much am I not paying attention to my body? I'm not saying that you need to be paying attention to your stomach all the time, but it's just a signpost of actually how are you. If you're just realizing how much noise your stomach's making, then what else are you not paying attention to in regards to your emotions? Because there's probably loads there that you're avoiding or ignoring or not realizing that they're signaling to you, like, hey, I'm here, listen to me.
Listen. Listen to your body more.
So something that we want to give you before we end the podcast is a little tip on how to get better at expressing your emotions. So something I always say is that a lot of the time when you don't express how you're feeling, if it's sad, if it's something that you felt that you didn't say at work, someone annoyed you, or if someone crossed a boundary, you didn't express it, I always say this gets stuck in your throat. And the throat chakra, as we know, is the most blocked chakra. So something that we do on our TikTok lives, which we invite you to come and do with us, but if you don't want to come and do with us, that's absolutely fine, because you can do it on your own, is to do some vocal activation. So this can look like, for how we do it, is we have a song that we play, and during the song, we make some grunting sounds, some growls, some screams, some gurrs. And we use our throat to make these sounds. And as we're making these sounds, we're envisioning releasing all the things that we haven't said, that we haven't expressed, all the times and ways that we've made ourselves feel small. So something that I encourage you to do is, you don't necessarily need a song to do it. If you would like a song, obviously we've got a Spotify playlist. The song is called Work. You can find it and you can do it. It's a very easy song to do it along with, and it helps because she's also doing it too. But if you don't want to, something that I would encourage you to do is take some space, take some time, and just start making some noise. Help release it out. And the thing that you will find is that more regularly that you do this, the more you will find that you're actually saying what you mean, saying how you mean it, and saying it with your chest after you do it over a period of time, because you get more confident taking up space. Because if you think about it, growling and making funny sounds with your throat, you're not actually saying anything, but you are being a little bit weird. And it will feel uncomfortable the first time. We always say this to people on our TikTok. If this is your first few times doing this, you are going to feel uncomfortable doing it, because especially if you're used to suppressing your emotions and not expressing yourself. But after a period, you will get more and more comfortable, and you will stop caring if anyone can hear you, what your flatmate might think, what your family members might think, and you will start taking up space. And not only will you start taking up space where you are in that moment, you will start taking up space in your life the way that you should be. So if you want to join us, we do that on Fridays at 8 p.m. Come along. If not, pick a song, growl it out. If you don't want to pick a song, find some space, release some noise, and start doing it regularly and see how it goes for you.
It compounds.
It does.
Start off small, stay consistent with it, and you'll see.
And yeah, and you know, like something that we've had messages about before is, and also discussed with some of the people in our lives is, they feel a little bit shy because they don't want anyone to hear them, or they feel embarrassed that someone might hear them. If you are feeling that way, that is more of a sign that you should be doing it. So we always make a joke that, like, on the lives, we want your neighbors or your flatmates to like come and knock on your door and be like, what's going on? Can I join? That's the aim. That's the aim. Think of that as being your aim if you feel shy. Like, actually, I want to be so loud and so noisy, and I want to take up so much space that people are like, hey, what's going on over here?
You deserve to be heard. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to be unapologetically yourself. We've been taught otherwise. We've made ourselves small to make other people feel big. But the truth is, there's room for everyone. Making yourself small does no one favors in this world.
And it's just another form of people pleasing. And it's 2024 and we don't do that anymore.
And with that, I think we'll end this episode.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll see you next week.
Ciao for now.